Left us unaccompanied again. We're unaccompanied again. Hey! Hello, and welcome to the League of Excellent, Extraordinary Negroes. The Jade left us in the house alone again version. I am your unaccompanied host, Nick Whitcomb.
I'm Carla Stillwell, resident philosopher and unattended.
And I'm Marcus Ross.
All right, folks, here we are again. Another episode of Loki, another week. But I have a question for you before we dive in. It's the wait, I gotta find it. It's the burning question of the day. Ah!
Ooh, that's a lot. That's hot.
Okay, so if you were trapped on a planet or a moon that was about to disintegrate and you were going to be gone forever, who would you want to be on that planet with as your adventure buddy? It's like it's your last time ever. You have to choose someone that will either help you or someone that you just want to keep you calm through this situation. Like, who's the person that you are on the apocalyptic planet with?
Somebody who's alive right now, or it could be anybody.
Anybody. And they can be like fictional. It can be whatever. Like, who would you want on this planet with you?
Well, it depends on whether I'm at peace with the situation or not. Because if I'm not ready to go out, I need one of these flying mugs. I need somebody. I need somebody with a Supermanish kind of ability to get me off this rock.
You're looking for Captain Marvel, is what you want.
Yes, I need Captain Marvel. I need somebody who can fly. Like, this is. I choose flight. Now, if I'm just so cool with it being the end, I choose my mama. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But if I'm trying to get up off this rock, I need motion. Outward.
Listen, if I'm assuming it's inescapable and I'm not cool with it, I'm just taking Mitch McConnell, because then at least the net positives go back up.
Not Mitch McConnell, really?
Listen, wonderful choice. But what if you're trying to get free though? But what if you're trying to get off, Mark?
Right.
Oh, I'm trying to leave?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You need something. You know what? You need Doctor Who. You need a whole friggin' time machine.
Flight,
that, just in case it doesn't work, it's itself indestructible. The whole planet be gone. The turrets will still be there.
Oh,
It's like, darn, that didn't work out for y'all. So sorry.
I think that I would want the team from Futurama. Because somehow they always make it away.
They
like
do.
even in the sense of that show got canceled like 3 times. And the fans brought it back every time. Like that they are survivors.
Because Bender has been dismantled. He's been buried on different planets. Like, Bender's been taken apart and made into other things. Bender has had Lucy Lou's head inside of him. I see it.
You wouldn't be bored, at least.
Listen, homegirl Janine is back on the YouTubes. Hey, Janine from the YouTubes, and she says she would want Iron Man. Oh, I like this version. It shows pictures. Hey, Janine from the YouTubes. Okay.
Janine from the YouTube.
Okay. Here we are, folks. It's time. We are going to talk about yet another episode, another riveting episode of Riveting Loki. Here we are. So when we left last episode, we just met Sylvie, aka Karen Loki.
That's Karen Loki.
And she has.
I need all of the internets to give me credit.
Yes,
Karen Loki is a philosopher. Tag. That's who she is, and she proved in this episode. I was ever confused about Karen Loki.
So she has messed up the timelines, but we don't talk about any of that. So what happens is they go back to the TVA. We learn actually before that happens how Sylvie got the information about where the timekeepers were from that agent, which is using the mind powers and going in and being like, "Oh my God, we're best friends, kicking it." Like, so tell me your secrets. That was crazy.
This was straight out of Buffy. That was straight out of Buffy. That was that exact move was from season 7, from the Glory season. No, that was season 5 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Because our Glory would get into people's minds with the hot electric hands. They stole the hot electric hand mind game from Joss Whedon.
And it's hard to steal from Joss Whedon.
Who stole it from Stan Lee? Let me shut up.
I mean, there are people that argue there are no new ideas.
Absolutely not. There are only 7 stories in the world, and they've all been told.
Right. Listen, because old black women have been playing them mind tricks for centuries.
I mean, she put her hot electrical fingers on that girl's temple lobe and was like, "Where are they again? Where?"
So, Sylvie, the Enchantress. I don't know if you guys catch it, but Enchantress. She can enchant things. I'm not sure if you caught that by the episode at all. Yes, Carla.
Hard to miss.
Yes, Carla.
Right. When is Hollywood going to give me a pretty enchantress that I want to be enchanted by, that is attractive and not just a slab of mayonnaise on white bread? This was the most boring, unsexy, unenchantable enchantress. That enchants me.
I'm waiting for the casting notes now. I mean, who did you want in this role?
I was going to say, yeah.
I wanted somebody who would appeal to me.
Oh, no, I want names. No.
Who do I think, if we have to go with a white, I'm sorry, I don't see, no. Like, couldn't you give me, I don't know, somebody with a personality? There was nothing about Karen Loki that was attractive or enchanting or made me want to be around her. And every time she touched somebody, it felt weird. It didn't feel like she was making me go.
I mean, I gotta call out the weird neck thing that she did.
Oh, God, it was so awkward.
Like, I was like, what is that? Like, what are you doing? It's so weird. And he was also like, what are you doing? And it wasn't even, and I think he knew, like, he was like, I know what you're trying to do, but why are you touching me in this way? Like, what is happening?
And then when they tried to make it like, oh, Loki is really intrigued with her, they kept trying to force this energy between the two of them. That ruined the entire episode for me, because I don't want to see 2 plain white people bum uglies anymore
It's
on
it's
screen.
Loki. He's not trying to find out anything other than how he can use her.
But okay, but the energy, but they kept trying to play it like, okay, he's leaning into her and chanting. Oh, she's being enchanted by him. They kept trying to build a tension of that just was gross. It was gross. It was like
Hmm.
watching two elderly people have sexual relations. Very upset the whole episode. Continue, Nick. I'm sorry.
So they go to the TVA, and Sylvie tries to enchant one of the timekeepers, and that is the only move that doesn't work on them because they are terrible. I mean, is it fair to call them the stormtroopers of the Marvel Universe?
Hmm.
Because how y'all get beat up so bad, like all of y'all, at the same time? I was like, there's five of y'all. Like, and she's been doing this for years. Like, she's been just wiping y'all out single handedly for years. Like, I need y'all to get trained. I need something. Like, where's the
They don't
training?
know. They don't know how to use their erasure wand. Like you have a whole wand that erases a mug, but you can never touch with it. Like they can never get. Where's the Dora Milaje? Can somebody teach them how to use?
Yes, Crystal, so bad. Not a single hit. Not a single hit was hit.
It might be over reliance. Most of the time, they're dealing with docile people who don't even know it's coming. They're just like, oh, your variant by this person has been training her whole life. This is her plan.
For this moment.
For this moment, she's ready. She's come to the TVA to take up her issues with management right to the top.
Hashtag Karen Loki.
She's like, I need to speak to the manager immediately.
She wanted to
I,
do the manager. And she didn't
this
care how many
universe is
people had to
wrong.
be vaporized. And I have come here. That's my grievance.
Okay. So I think my favorite part of all the fight sequences after Loki shows up and also is not successful at defeating Sylvie, that Gugu. Um, wait, I still have the picture? Yes, homegirl Gugu shows up, and she's in the street with her erasure wand, and she is like, I know, and then she's like, step closer and I'll kill Loki, and she's like, feel free, bitch, and she like.
She was like, go right ahead. She was like,
Do
I
you
don't give
need
a.
paperwork?
That killed me.
It was the look on Gugu's face. Because she literally looked at her like, bitch, are you dumb? Like, why would I care? Kill him, please.
That's what I've been trying to do since they brought him here. That's what we
Outright.
usually do.
I mean, Karen Loach was not prepared for that answer. She was stunned. What?
You threatened me with a favor. I don't know how to respond to that.
I've never been threatened with a favor.
She did. She looked at her like, are you stupid? Like, oh, I was like, this is brilliant acting. This is a
I
great
got
moment.
5 on it.
Dead ass. Dead ass. She was like Karen. She was like Karen Loki. I don't care, but you will put your mask on inside of the TVA. Like she was. It was a whole. You need to put your mask on and act right moment when Google walked up.
I think it was just to step back for a second. I think it was nice to have that moment where Sylvie / the Enchantress. I'm not sure if you knew that, but what she's doing is she's enchanting people when she touches them. It's an enchantment. They didn't. I feel like they didn't highlight that enough in the episode, so I just wanted to make sure that you all
I need
understood
you
it
to
here.
stop
They tried.
talking about the enchantment that we must miss it 85 times. They talked about this awkward bitch awkwardly enchanting people.
But anyway, so when she got to the TVA and she could not enchant, she was like really taken aback. She was like horribly taken aback by that, and I thought that moment was interesting. And later in the episode, we learn a little bit more why, because like she taught herself how to do this. She's never been able to not do it, and so that was a fun like thing I wrote down that I forgot to talk about. I just wanted to highlight that.
Well,
Because we have to spend a. No, go ahead, Mark.
just that magic doesn't work at the TVA, and also even when she was working with TVA agents, their brains are scrambled eggs anyway. So she had to take more time with the girl at the top of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it wasn't working out.
So Loki and Karen Loki fall onto one another, and they end up going into Lamentus 1. It is the year 2077.
77. I'm going to start writing these years down because they're very specific, and I want to know if they track to something that later on. Just my thing. Just my number thing. The years have been very specific. Anyway, keep talking.
Okay, interesting question from Crystal Fox real quick before we move on too far from this moment. I thought the moment was interesting too, where Sylvie could not use her powers. Because how come she didn't know that? It seems like she does know a lot. So why wouldn't she know that her things wouldn't work? If she's been planning this for so long, wouldn't she be prepared for that moment?
I don't think anybody really knows what goes on in the TVA. I think she's been trying to get that information, but I don't think it's weird that caught her off guard. Because, Loki knows a lot about a lot of the universes, but then got to the TVA and learned that his Jedi mind tricks don't work there. Like, you can do all of this. So I'm not shocked that she didn't know. Mm-hmm. That tracks for me.
Marcus, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it makes sense. It'd be like if you walked into Target and all of a sudden your legs didn't work. You'd be very confused. It's not something you ever think about. It always works.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe it's like knowing the true inner workings. Because I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't know that Infinity Stones mean nothing in the TVA.
No.
Yeah.
No. I think everybody that gets in there is stunned at the amount of things that don't track.
It's just different.
A whole new world. Okay, so our Loki duo is on Lamentus 1.
What is this actress's name? What's her name?
There is much conversation about the temp pad. The temp pad is the device they use to create the little portals to go from place to place. It seems as if she had rigged a temp pad to have only apocalyptic locations on it. And when they fell onto this temp pad, they fell through a portal which took them to Lamentus 1, which is the tragedy that she knows is terrible and awful, but still put on the device.
It had to be in the last resort area. Nah, it's not. I'm not going there.
Well, and not only is it on the device, she's been there a couple of times.
Right.
The last time I was here, we never get out here. What?
Right.
You had choices, sis. Karen Loki.
And now they can't go anywhere else because the temp pad is out of juice. So, what will they do? They need to find a way to charge the temp pad. So they're running around. And Loki's like, we can use that light. Why did he say that? He knew they couldn't do that. He knew for a fact that was not the plan. I was like, what?
He's testing her this entire episode. So, just seeing what game would she play if she thought she could take advantage of him. I don't know. It's they're just pushing each other's limits the whole episode.
Because it's an episode about nothing. This was the Seinfeld episode. I'm sorry. I just have to say this, and then you all can talk about whatever you want to talk about after this. But I just have to say this. So there's a whole 48-minute fucking episode of this whole show where we get to listen, where we only thing we find out is that the variants don't know that they're variants, and everybody that's been reset is who is in the TVA, and that they had a life before. We learned this. We went through this whole exposition, this whole foinkery and fugazi. We went through all of this.
Standard filler
Exactly.
episode,
It
says
was a
Janine.
filler episode. We went through all of this to learn that a couple of pieces of new information. One, she's the enchantress, and two, the people in
Did
the
they say
TVA.
that? Did they say that in the episode at all? Did they
No.
mention
No,
enchantment or
well,
enchantress at all?
I don't
She
know if
did
there
say
was.
enchantment. She did say her power is enchantment.
I'm kidding. They said it so many times. That's a joke.
I
Enough
think there was
times.
a whole monologue about why you enchant me, I enchanted you, we enchanted each other, enchanted evening, enchanted so it was a filler episode, and they were running around the island, the moon, or whatever, because we needed to know that she was the enchantress and that the variants uh actually the TVA, and they've been stolen from their life. So when you get reset, we know where you go. You don't go to heaven. You don't go to hell. If you're late for work, you might go to the TVA for the rest of your eternity. Okay,
So
I'm
what you're
off my
saying is
soapbox.
you didn't like the train.
Slowly I turn, step by step, inch by inch. I've never been so irritated by writing in my life. And
you
I
didn't like
get on.
you didn't like the class war they were trying to start with that.
Let me tell you something. If I ever had a Tyra Banks, I was rooting for you moment. I had it watching this episode. I am rooting for this show. But this show, all of the good was just bored all the way out of me because I had to watch this bland white girl. What's this girl's name? Sophia DiMartino. One of the driest, crispiest, like this Melba toast. Like she's real dry, like old shortbread cookies. And you're trying to get her. She's not interested. Google could have enchanted me. I could have been enchanted by Google.
Yeah, this would be a good role for
or
Google.
or somebody who was Google-esque.
A Google type.
A Google type.
They had some fun, but yes, definitely a filler episode. Because, all right, what's the next thing that happens? So they get to
The next thing I thought that was interesting was when Loki described himself as independent, authoritative, and stylish. So I thought that was fun. And then they are walking around, they're arguing. She tries the weird neck thing. They're having words of wits back and forth, and he's like, "Do you really just want to fight the whole time? Because now we just need to figure out how we're going to get out of this situation." And then they go to the porch, and Loki's like, "Be nice to the people. That might go further." And Karen Loki's like, "Fuck this door and these people," and she kicks the door down. And homegirl inside, my favorite character of this episode, takes that cannon and says, "Babu!" and like uses some sort of like sound machine to knock her off of the porch. So then Loki,
I am now referring to that gun only as the Philly sound machine, and just
she was like, comfortable. She was like, "Come to whose porch?" "No, ma'am."
With your shenanigans.
With your shenanigans. And then you try to up the shenanigans by acting like my husband, who ain't like. She was like, "He hasn't said anything nice to me in 30 years. Stop playing."
She was like, "Judo chop. I'm over you too. Get away from me, I guess."
Okay, and Crystal Fox, who agrees that this is a filler episode, says, "But even that was confusing. Why was she needed in this episode?" I'll tell you why, Crystal. Literally, to tell us about the arc. That was the whole point. The entire point of that character, because we never got her name. We never learned what this gun was. We never learned why she's the only house within any radius on this in this entire block. She literally was just there to be like, they're on the ark. Like that was her whole purpose. Unless I'm wrong. Did y'all see something else?
Nothing else happened.
I
No.
just enjoyed the character because
She was great.
she's not
Oh
fussing
yes.
around trying to get on the ark. She knows she ain't got the money. She's got that big old gun. She can get on that ark if she really wanted to, but she's made her peace. And she's keeping it all the way to the end. You can't like who is she protecting that house from? That house has 10 minutes left.
And
She's
she
got
was
10
going.
minutes left.
And,
She just wants
and
to
what she
have it in
decided,
peace.
she decided she was going to have those 10 minutes alone.
The best thing she did
Alone.
was knock down our principals just right in the face. Just knock them both down a peg like, no, you ain't that important.
Yeah. Right.
No. And then she just gave them information they wanted in the first place.
But we
So,
did. We could have lived our whole lives and never met her.
never met her. And there
No, no,
there
no,
could
I
have been a
enjoy
different
her.
way. Oh, she was
want a
great. I
t-shirt.
loved her.
I want a t-shirt with her and that gun. Just be like, come get some.
And it's like, whose porch?
Oh,
What's her name?
falling out
Let's
friends.
name her. Let's name her. We are going to name her.
That's Agnes.
Okay, I was going to say Geraldine, so that's good. I feel like we're in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, we are. Agnes,
Yeah.
Jolene.
Yeah, Marcus.
Giving
Marcus.
a future space lady an old lady name.
Sylvie and
it
Loki. Like what?
Loki is timeless.
Okay, Loki, whatever. Sylvie is
Sylvie
up
is,
there with Agnes.
Sylvie's self-chosen, so it's specific. Who knows?
Okay, so they get knocked off of the porch. They learn about the ark. We have a very Titanic moment. We get to the train, all the poor people, but specifically the poor, sad black woman is
Oh,
wailing at the top of her lungs. Oh, we want to get on the train. They won't let us on because we're poor.
and I'm like, is this a scene from Les Miserables? Like, what are we doing? Why am I here? Why do I care? Why?
I mean, I'm watching Snowpiercer, and it's a good show about a train. It's the same show. No.
So she gets that. Then we get onto the train through
With
Loki's
with enchantment.
kind of.
A
So
little bit.
so she's like, I'm gonna enchant a guard and we're gonna get on the train, and if they want to fight, we can fight about it. And Loki's like, no, I'm going to put on the costume of a guard. I'm going to lead you on the train somehow. It's gonna work. And so they get there, and she does do a slight enchantment to get the guard to step to the side and let them on the train.
Was that the most awkward thing? Like she grabbed him, like, "Give me your wallet." Like that was not like in the real world. Somebody would have been like, "You too close." Like she wouldn't even been able to grab him. It was so slow with the enchantment. It was like slow motion enchantment. Touch a squeeze.
They were
It
pressed
was
for time.
terrible.
They
Everything
were
about
pressed
that
for
girl was
time.
awkward. I just hated it.
So they get on the train. Marcus, did you
Uh,
ever thought about anything that happened? I just said a lot.
No, I mean that's all accurate.
Yeah, it's all things that just happened. You know what's interesting? Because the next conversation that they have is about the difference between a plan and doing a thing. So, would you say that they did not have a plan with this episode? Because it seems like they just did a lot of things.
No, I believe they had a plan. I believe the plan was to let us know that variants were actually people who had been reset, and they were all in the TVA. That was part. That was the biggest part of the, and to let us know who Sylvie was, and that she was the enchantress.
A
Like that,
self-taught enchantress,
right? Like that's what
which
this was
Loki
one.
accepts far too easily for me. I thought it was weird that he was like, "Oh, you taught yourself? Oh, cool."
Well, I think it was mostly character development. Everything about this episode is setting up the train, where we were literally going to box them in and force them to talk to each other. And let these characters. And you find out Sylvie is pretty guarded about everything and a little paranoid about everything, and very much wants to control every situation. And it's just a little bit of a contrast with Loki, who's a little bit more comfortable with himself, but is also a control freak. So, but yeah.
But they talk about their moms.
Let me tell you, this was some of the laziest writing I ever seen in my life. I waited like I'm coming to sleep. Talk about it. Okay, I'm up now.
Oh no!
Literally, it made me go to sleep. This writing was so lazy.
Okay, Carlo, you are cutting out a little bit. So I believe you said the writing was so lazy it made you go to sleep.
That's what happened. Wait a minute. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, all right. So we're on the train. They're talking about the mamas. It's lazy writing. Loki does his firework hand. That's cute. Oh, okay. One thing that Crystal thought was interesting in this conversation was that Sylvie said she's hedonistic, but not at the expense of the mission. That's fun. That was there were some interesting philosophical nuggets within this conversation if I were interested.
I mean, yeah, that is a key difference between them. Loki is always up for a good time, and mid-mission doesn't matter. There's plenty of time to stab somebody in the back and have a drink at the same time.
Well, the other thing that literally came out in this episode is that Lokis are just are free, or sexually free and adventurous, and so that conversation being had, which I thought was interesting. Like, Lokis get down when they get down, man.
Yes, Carlos commenting on the fluid nature of the Loki. Carla, I'm going to suggest that you leave the room and come back so that we can get
your audio is
together.
Awful.
Yes. So, but yes, I did. But yes, they did. Happy Pride Month. Loki might be, as people are saying, bi, but he could be anything. He could be pansexual. He could be demisexual. He could be anything. It's a very wide spectrum, as we all know. So yes, interesting tidbit to include within the episode, I thought as well.
And the Norse source material, Loki's literally anything.
Right.
I mean, yeah, like, and even in the comics, I mean, he turns Thor into a frog. There's all sorts of stuff happening with Loki. Who knows? Yeah.
But then they go on some more things they talk about. They talk about love. We're just gonna get through all this because we know how Carla felt. We know how Carla felt about it, right? Like why did they talk about that?
Oh, we do. Because I mean, they're not going to be talking about loving each other. It's a little too weird. It's a little too close to sibling. It's an alternate you. That's not going to work. Even if no.
I mean, but is she an alternate him? That's what I think. I'm like struggling.
I think that's the direction they're going with this one. Although the Sylvie character we were hearing from Alex last week may not be that, but it looks like the way they're going with this version.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe not. But like,
because she really seems to hate being called a Loki.
That's true.
So I mean, but that doesn't mean that she's not. But also she's self-taught and whatnot and all that stuff. Like there are and there are things that there are moments when Loki would be like, that's not what I would do. Or like, that's weird that you did that way because you're a Loki.
But how much of it is them trying to figure out the other's weaknesses so they can exploit them later? As opposed to, this person's going to be a potential love interest for me later.
Yeah, Carla's working on it, y'all. I don't know what's happening there.
She was back, and then she wasn't.
Yeah, it's just a blank screen over here. So we're gonna figure it out. But yeah, they have that conversation. They keep talking. Loki's gay. That's fun. Um, and then Loki like completely forgets the mission. He completely forgets the mission. He gets drunk. He loses his costume. He is singing in Asgardian, having full emotions with these people on the train, and gets them in trouble by this man. Do you think there's any significance to this man outside of he just was like, who is this weird dude?
Oh, the people they were interacting with on the train?
Yeah, or
No. But
the man that snitched on them specifically.
no, except that like you're already on the doomed train to nowhere. What
Right.
is the point? Are you really gonna push somebody out the train? Okay, you can, but the real question here is why would Loki be this cavalier with a very important part of the mission?
Well, I think that he's mimicking what he did last time when he was at the end of the world. He's like, nothing matters. I can do whatever I want in this moment, and it's all going to end anyway, so nothing matters. Oh, here we go. Hey,
Can you see me?
I can
yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
pretty well. It's
Let
much
me
better.
tell you something. I don't know what part of the matrix I dropped into for a few minutes, but hopefully I have internet now.
Yeah, you're still a little bit in the matrix, but we can at least hear everything, kind of.
Okay. Hopefully this
Um,
clears up.
So yes, Loki singing in Asgardian. Do you have any thoughts on Loki singing on the train, Carla? Now that you've returned, that's the part that we have reached in the episode.
No.
It's just baffling. It's like, it just makes the chance of mission success very low.
hmm So they're kicked off, and that is when the temp pad breaks, like completely falls apart, and they don't know what they're gonna do. Oh no, we are stranded here. I'm stuck here with you. What are we gonna do? Um, and so they come up with the and she screams. There's a big moment there where she screams. I thought that something else might come out of that conversation, but it was just her screaming, and then him being like, "Did that scream feel good?" And her being like, "Yeah." And then they made up the plan to steal the ark.
I mean, clearly, if you break the apocalypse, the TVA will come get you.
Right.
But that's kind of obvious. I kind of surprised that wasn't the plan to start with. No.
Well, and the TVA is, but they're very occupied right now because
They're a little busy.
There are all these other timelines that we just completely ignored in this episode.
They're a little busy. But how many of those? How many time grenades did she drop? That disrupted an apocalyptic event. Like the other ones, you might be able to let go. She dropped one into a Denny's and the cashier went missing for 3 hours. We can get to that.
Not the
But
Denny's.
in a whole apocalypse, somebody's coming up for that one. Look, I don't know where she put him. They haven't gotten into that yet.
Right, yeah. I'm assuming that we're going to get all that next episode just because we have to circle back to that. Yes, Crystal, the Denny's. that is where Marcus's attention is today. Listen, mine too. I was thinking this morning, I was like, what sounds really good? Like bad pancakes. Like, it sounds so delicious. Or like a soggy sandwich of sorts.
Am I gone again?
You are a little gone-ish. You are a little in and out.
I'm gonna try it again. I'll be back.
Okay, we support you. Listen, folks, that's all we can do here is support each other. We have all been on the internet for a long time. I want to take this moment to thank our fans. We have been strong, like tonight. Thank you for being in the comments. Thank you for joining this conversation with us. It's you're the reason that we do it. And thank you to Jade, who's still out there jet setting the world, but trusted us to keep the conversation going for some reason. Um, so, we're going to give Carla a chance to come back, and I'm going to use this thing because we can. All right, and boom, like magic. There we
Oh my
go.
God. Oh Lord. So stressful.
I love how you give her
Okay,
back her
there we
spot
know.
just instantly.
We have to. We got to finish the
I
episode
Who's
know.
strong.
for it?
Okay, so as they're walking to get to the Ark, which I find it very interesting that first they needed a train to get to the Ark, and now they can walk there. I was like, what is happening? Like, what? No one even knows where time or place is. Like, we're just kind of making things up. But that is when we learned the truth about the TVA. That's when we learned that all these people are just really scrambled. Their minds are jumbled and cloudy. That they are people that had lives, and they are variants that have been turned to do these powers. Um, so yes, there's that thing we learned, and that is why it is really sad that Alex is not here right now, because I feel like he would feel very avenged and vindicated by this information.
Like, that's why I wanted Alex here too, because I was like, oh, his predictions were spot. Like he was really spot on with his thoughts from last week.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to Alex at Alex B Illustrations, alexbillustrations.com. Check him out. We love him. Okay. And then they're literally running to get to the Ark to try to get off of this planet, to, not die in this apocalypse. And yes, exactly what Crystal's saying. They are literally being arrested as this is happening. Like, these people are still trying to, first of all, they found them. They've like randomly found them. They didn't find them on the whole walk. But the moment that they get to the most populous area, in which now rockets of fire are coming down from the sky and destroying everything, they conveniently find them in the midst of everyone.
Well,
And
I don't think they necessarily
Because
cared that it was Loki and Sylvie. They were trying to stop everybody from getting onto the Ark. And the question I have is, how are you doing that? You couldn't pay me enough. There's nothing to buy when there's no planet. I'm about to die. You're about to die. Everybody's about to die except the people on the Ark. Like, your job guarding the Ark,
this is why
it's the
I
last
said
thing you're ever going to do. It's the last thing you're ever going to do.
this is why I said this was the laziest writing ever, because they literally were doing, this is an assignment that you give 11th graders in a playwriting class. Like, so you're trapped. So what are the 5 ways you're trapped out? First, we'll jump on the train, and then we'll run to the neighbor's house. When that doesn't work, we'll try to steal the art. Like,
yeah, that is literally what happened. It's like
it
playwriting
was a fourth
101.
grade writing assignment. It
Playwriting
really
101.
was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Wow.
I was like, that's why it doesn't make any sense, because it didn't make any sense. Because it's like, okay, kids, we're in a boat and we're trapped on an island that's about to explode. Tell me 5 ways you get off. Well, first, I'll run for my life. Like, come on.
Oof. Okay, so Carla, just so you are aware, you chopped all the way through that, but we got you. We heard what you said, but I just want you to be aware that that is your truth right now.
I'm sorry. I'm so crunchy.
I'm not hearing you at all, Nick.
Oh my God!
Nope, you're down.
Oh
Or
no,
maybe
I'm
I am.
down. I think you're
I can
down.
hear Nick.
Yeah, you're down.
Anybody hear
I
anybody?
can hear Nick.
Nope, we can. Marcus, you can't hear.
me.
Hold on.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You know what?
Jade, you have to
I-
come back. The internet doesn't like us. The internet has decided that we are
This
not
is a plot by Jane.
we are not fit to host the show without you. We need you to come
This
back immediately. I'm the only one
this
that's
is a
still working.
plot.
It's a plot. We've been taken over.
Jade has put this plot in motion. We have strayed. We have the spoilers. We have the spoiler alerts. We have the anything she told us to
I
do
can hear
2
now.
weeks in a row. Exactly. And Jade has put a kibosh on this. She is sick of our shit, and this is why we are not. We're having technical difficulties.
Oh my goodness. Well, things are going so. I mean, at least that's the end of the episode. Much like this, much like the end of this episode of our show was also a train wreck. So we are just gonna go ahead. What are our scores for this episode of television? Let's start with Carla.
I give it a 3 only because we got the good information about the variants and the residents of the TVA. I mean, that's the only thing that is getting me to a middle point with this episode. I promise you, I had 10th graders that have written better scripts than this one, and I cannot stand that actress that is playing Sylvie.
All right, Marcus.
I am going to give this episode 2.5, and it's not because it was a particularly bad episode. It's just, I mean, when you compare it to every episode of WandaVision and every episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and even the 2 episodes of Loki before it, it's not up to the same level. I mean, it looks pretty, but there's just not enough happening in it, and the things that happen in it don't make enough sense. So, I mean, I have hope for next week. Maybe they'll get back to the TVA, and we'll get to do more fun things with the better characters.
Mm-hmm.
But this kind of side plot into character development didn't work as well for me as I think they wanted it to.
Mm-hmm. So you said 2.5?
2.5.
All right. Janine also gave it a 2.5, and she also
watching the show.
She also said that Karen Loki vexed the stream, which I just think is very funny. She did.
She did.
I'm not putting it past Disney to just hex us.
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Carla. I'm gonna give it a 3. There were some interesting bits of information delivered. There were some salient points in the conversation that they were having. I just wasn't very interested. I mean, they didn't really do anything to keep my interest. I felt like the stakes were never really high, even though they should have been. Yeah, it was a fine episode of television, but not really. It just wasn't very good. So, a 3.
I mean, here's the problem. There were 3 fight scenes. Good ones.
Yeah.
The rest of it just didn't work. The fight
Okay.
scenes were very good.
Marcus, as you are fighting for this episode, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Marcus Ross and at Waterbear Games. I'm working on board games, and you can reach out to me anytime.
All right, Carla.
You can find me on all of the media, Stillwell or Miss Stillwell 606.
All right, you can find me on all the social medias, Miss Stillwell or Miss Stillwell 60649. You can also Google Carla Stillwell because she's famous in these streets. Visit Stillwell Institute for Contemporary Black Art, doing incredible work. They Carla, I'm so sad that you can't talk right now, but there's a festival that she's doing at the Southeast Arts Festival in August. So when she is back and her internet is not playing, we are going to have her tell you all about that. But until then, I am Nick Whitcomb, nickwhitcomb.com, the comp with whitcomb.com. Podcast episodes of season 2 coming soon. Right now, we're just on a bit of a hiatus as I interview some other folks. And honestly, just, my life is, if you follow me on social media, you know that my life has changed quite a bit. So, working through some life right now, and it's going to be great. But the House of Afros, Capes, and Curls, afroscapescurls.com. You can look out for more information coming up about the Steampunk Tea Party, which is going to be next year. Also, AfroCon, which is going to be online again, and all the people on this screen will be involved, whether they would like to or not.
Informed.
And yeah, listen, that's what we got. Any final thoughts from the panel?
Well, I mean, Carla's frozen, so I don't know if she's going to have any.
Yeah, it's over. Bye, y'all.